This one for anyone who's done a couple of wholesale real estate deals. They've got a side hustle going. They're wondering when should they hire somebody so that they can truly make this a business where they are not involved. Today, I'm bringing in an expert who runs what's called a mastermind called Collective Genius, where 500 plus wholesalers and house flippers, big ones that do 100 deals per year or more, to even a group for people who are doing 10 deals a year or more. So he's the one that sees what's successful, who's growing the fastest. So he tells us his tips on when is it time to hire somebody to be a wholesaling business rather than just a solopreneur. And also halfway through, I ask him what marketing trends are working extremely well right now in the market. This is the podcast to 10x your income and replace your W-2 through wholesaling real estate. My name is David Lecko, and I created a process that's helped people close their very first deal 10,000 times in all 50 states over the past 7 years.
Trying to act like a CEO and hire several different people, what you're really doing is you're sucking the oxygen out of the business, which is the cash, right? Because you're blowing up your payroll and you think, I'm just going to hire everybody to do everything. Well, it doesn't work typically, right? And so you got to get the best that you can become as an individual before kind of moving into that territory of hiring multiple positions. And so how do you do that? You hire someone who's really their core focus is to help you elevate, you become more efficient, you do more deals. That way there's just two of you, you're making a ton of money. And then when you actually go to start scaling the business and hiring other people, it's not such a stressful place because you're working highly efficiently and you actually have a lot of cash accumulated because of that efficiency and productivity.
As my business scaled, I did hire an executive assistant, and I would completely agree with you. I've got a great one now that's been with me for 3 years, but wanted to share a couple of my mistakes. The first time I hired somebody that was just willing and eager, but I actually had to let him go after 1 week, which was quite disruptive to the other applicants and internally our company. But she had left my front door open and let my cat out. And then she also planned a company event. It was like an 80s themed skating event. And on our way there, somebody goes, "Hey, the GPS says this place is closed down." And then I was like, "Hey, assistant, did you call or let them know or even check what their hours were?" And she hadn't, right? She spent all the time just getting everybody pumped about the theme. And so I knew she just didn't have the detail orientedness there. The second assistant was better. 9 months was how long that relationship lasted. But most of the issue was on me because she was waiting around for me to assign her projects. And when I was actually hiring the third, I was like, man, I need to figure this out. I had a business coach at the time, Dan Martell, who I believe you've actually been friends with, or we both read his book, Buy Back Your Time. But a lot of what made my current assistant relationship successful, I think, is having written out all the stuff like how to book my flights. That's like a 3-page document on just how I think about it, and giving her access to my email and bank accounts and to-do lists, and just kind of letting her try to get stuff off my plate rather than wait around for assignments.
Well, and the first thing I'll tell you guys that if you stop listening to this podcast right now and just went and got Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, you will have won. You are victorious if we stop talking right now. That book is that book. I don't say this very often. I've been an entrepreneur for 23 years. Oh, it changed my life. Right? No, that book changed my life.
And so why do you think that's the right hire compared to an acquisitions manager? Why does everybody want to hire an acquisitions manager first?
I think after you've been on enough appointments, you probably feel like you maybe don't want to hear any more stories, or you feel like you're supposed to elevate to the next level where you're not involved, and you're I want to be a CEO, and there's this, I think people think they're gonna evolve a little bit quicker than they probably should, and that's where I think a lot of people get in trouble. Is they try to hire other positions, the things that they're amazing at, which, by the way, closing deals is probably the thing that makes you the most money. And so instead of outsourcing that, you want to bring in someone that can assist you getting, say, from I'm doing 3 deals a month by myself, let me get that to 5. Now I'm gone from 60 grand a month to 100 grand a month. I've done that for 6 months in a row. I'm consistent, I'm predictable, I'm reliable. Now I'll go consider, maybe because of that growth, maybe now I'm going to go get a TC, a transaction coordinator, and an assistant, and then I'm going to get it to, 7 deals a month, and then at 7 deals a month, I'm making 6 figures a month. I've done it for 6 months in a row, and now I'm thinking about I'm going to go hire a acquisitions person to start helping me.
One of the things you said, I smiled, was like doing 3 deals a month, 20 grand a piece, 60 grand a month, which is a lot per year. I think most of the people that I encounter, they're not at that level yet, but they've heard about Traction and they've read Traction, and they are looking for the acquisitions manager that's going to work with no base salary, but will start earning commission, and they're outsourcing their cold calls, and they're also somehow working with a transaction coordinator that's just working with no base salary as well. You know what I mean? Like I hear that frequently, but I don't really.
It's because they can't pay them a base salary because they're trying to outsource those things too quickly, right?
Yeah. So that's not a good idea, is what you're encountering. Like,
I don't think so. I mean, Traction is an amazing system, a great process. We run EOS inside of our organization. I don't know what I would do without it. But the reality of it is I think that book is secondary to something like Buy Back Your Time when you're first starting out, because again, you are not looking to elevate. You can't elevate out of your existing role until you delegate your way out of it, right? And I think that starts with a really, really good support role. So you as a salesperson continue to add deal flow. You're keeping your overhead minimal. You're keeping your bank account optimal. And then when you do go to hire, you're not stressed so much about, I can't hire anybody good because I ain't got any money. But I think that's another thing to talk about, David, is that people have like a good month and they're like, all right, I'm hiring 2 people. And, but you need to have a good month, like really 4 to 6 months in a row. I use the term CPR. You need to get things consistent, predictable, and reliable so your business doesn't end up needing CPR.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's a good acronym.
If you're consistent, predictable, reliable, then you won't have to give your business CPR. But too many people, in my opinion, go out and they have a good month. They think they got it all figured out, close 6 deals in a month, and then they'll close another deal for 2 months. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't hire 2 people. I haven't closed a deal 2 months, and that will go out of it.
Yeah. One of the things that Dan Martell always said was you do not hire to add capacity, but you hire to take things off your plate. Just the exact same thing that you were saying. And he says, start with the lower dollar amount things. And so if you follow that formula, if you're doing everything, the acquisitions process, the sales job that is not the lowest dollar thing. The lowest dollar thing is maybe perhaps cooking your lunch or running dry cleaning errands. Yes, or filling out contracts.
Yeah, taking them, there's so many things. Filling out contracts, ordering title, all the stuff that comes with doing a deal. It's important. We're not discounting that. It needs to be done. It just can't be done by you. So if you can hire someone for $4,000 a month to do that, and they give you the capacity to do another deal at $20,000, you're on the upside of 16, right?
Right.
Funny, we're talking about the exercise that Dan tells you to go through. I literally have it pulled up on my computer right now for a call I was doing earlier.
Amazing. Yeah. It's good at all levels because it's tempting for me to want to go. And I've made these mistakes in my business where, I'm going to go hire this really incredible product, manager, and it's a high salary position, right? But that person's not used to getting in the weeds, which with a company of my size, 27 employees, like everyone involved still pretty much has to have something to do beyond just managing. They're doing work that's meaningful to the business beyond just doing one-on-ones with their team. I thought this was a really good discussion on actually how to find your first hire for wholesalers that are looking to expand. And to help them maybe check out that book, Buy Back Your Time. I think it would be so helpful. And before we leave, I didn't want to miss the opportunity, Jason, to ask you, what are a couple trends that you're noticing as we go into 2024, you being in a unique position where you're serving probably 500 different wholesalers at various levels with your organization, Collective Genius?
I think probably the biggest thing is you can get into a habit, and this is for any size of business. This isn't just for solo folks, but I think you can get into a habit of just working the leads that are hot at the moment. And then if you don't close it, just kind of withers away, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you're generating 100 leads going on 10 appointments and closing 2 deals of the 10 appointments, those other 8 people are probably going to sell their house in 6 to 12 months. And so if you don't have a mechanism of follow-up, you've heard the old adage, right? The riches are in the. I think when you're young or your business is immature, it's just you, there's this tendency to, I need more leads. Well, you really should focus on, hey, I should be working. I've got 2 hot leads that came in, but I've got 8 people that I went on appointments with last month. Mm-hmm. How long? Check in with them once a month. Hey, Mr. Jones, I know we couldn't do business last month. Where are you at? Oh, you sold to someone else? Okay, well, when are you closing? Oh, I'm closing on February 21st. Okay, a lot of guys in the business, a lot of gals in the business right now say they're going to close, can't end up closing. Are you cool if I call you on like the 21st and see, if it actually went through? Because sometimes people overpay for homes. They haven't really adjusted for the market and they can't really end up closing. Are you cool if I call you back and end up go on your calendar, put it down, call Mr. Jones. Did he close on the 21st? Right? Like you've gotta know if you generate 100 leads, you close 2, there's 8 more out of that batch that are going to close within the next 6 to 12 months, and you want to be the person that gets them. And so you really want to systematize staying on top of those leads.
That's amazing. Really good advice is to follow up, right? We can all do that. It doesn't cost money to follow up with the old leads, but that's where the riches are. One of the things I've noticed from being involved with the industry for 7 years is that marketing trends, what people get excited about marketing wise seems to go in a cycle. It was direct mail, then it was texting. Now, what would you say it is, or what are people really getting a lot of results from these days? Hey guys, if you know you want to quit your job in the next 3 months, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast because we've got some incredible frameworks with step-by-step instruction that you're not going to want to miss. Also, leave us a rating and review to let us know your favorite parts and why you want to get financial freedom.
I'm going to go back to I think the results come from the follow-up regardless of the mechanism, right? I know obviously a lot of wholesalers, a lot of rehabbers that generate their own leads, and you're going to have some people that live and die by texting's my jam, other people it's pay-per-click, and so it's really, I don't know that there's a fad right now as much as the market's changed to the point to where who's got the puck is different. If texting goes out of style, but we start to experience more foreclosures, like everybody quit working the foreclosure auctions back in, 2009, 2010, because all the hedge funds came in and were just buying everything up, right? Well, nobody's going to the foreclosure auctions anymore, right? So is that a place to go when the market shifts? To me, lead sources are basically driven around what the market is giving you at the time. But, to me, it's not necessarily that a source is always better than another. It's relative to the cost of the source. Texting is clearly the cheapest, but also the most vulnerable, right? It's constantly under fire. It's constantly being scrutinized. There's a lot of risk of, potentially getting in trouble for doing it. And so, my thoughts are, if I was really trying to be effective, I would focus more on the data than I would the methodology of getting in touch with that individual. Make sure you got the right data, a good list, and then how many different ways can you be in touch, right? Yeah, whether that's outbound dialing or whether that's loading that list up into Facebook and, creating custom audiences. But if you've got a targeted list that's motivated, I would try to come from every direction possible.
When I was starting my business and it started growing, one of the things I realized was my friends wouldn't understand the types of problems I was having or wanted to talk about. And so finding a community was really important, especially when I lived in Indianapolis. There's less entrepreneurs there than there are in Austin, where I live now. And I know you have a group, CG Elevate, and I believe that is the entry level to Collective Genius. Can you tell me about who's the person that would benefit the most from CG Elevate, and what kind of deals are they doing right now?
Yeah, so CG Elevate is a community of investors typically doing at least 10, typically a minimum of 10 deals a year, all the way up to about 40. And then once you hit that point, you go into our next level, which is Select, CG Select. But it's really our mantra, if you will, for CG Elevate is double your deal flow. So if you're like, I'm doing 10 deals a year, can't get out of my own way, I don't know what to do next, I feel overwhelmed, I'm stressed out, I got this far, I don't know, like our entire focus in that group is to help you double your deal flow. So how do you double your deal flow based upon your existing structure? And that's what we come together to talk about. And the beautiful part about it is that you are being, that community is being led by some of our premier members, which are flipping 350, 400 houses a year. And so they're teaching you what they've done to get there. And like I said, it's all about doubling your deal. You can go to doublemydealflow.com. I don't know if it's double my deal flow or double your deal flow, but I think it's double my deal flow.
Yeah. If you have trouble finding it, guys, it's thecollectivegenius.com. And I see an Elevate thing right there. It says 10 deals a year, 200K in revenue.
When you go to the page, when you go to the Collective Genius, we have our 3 different levels of communities there. And the Elevate is I would probably think for the majority of the audience listening, that would be. And so once you click Elevate, which says, hey, I'm doing 10 to 40 deals a year, when you click that, it'll take you to the next page, which kind of breaks down what Elevate is all about, who the coaches and trainers are. There's 3 meetings a year where we physically come together. We have literally weekly, every single week, weekly coaching calls from the ops manager and the sales manager of an organization doing 350 plus deals a year. So it's a tremendous value and a great journey to be on.
It's been a group that I've loved being a part of in CG Premier. So I know from firsthand that's helped me not only make money, but form friendships in the industry that are so valuable whenever you feel like you're alone, oftentimes in business. So highly recommend checking that out. And thanks for letting me be a member for all these years, Jason. You've been somebody I've looked up to, and it's awesome you took some time to do this podcast today.
Well, I appreciate the invite. And for those of you that don't know, David, outside of just DealMachine, this is a stellar young man. He and I went on a missions trip together to Mexico, and I'll never forget when we were there, we were building a home for a unfortunate family who probably would never have a home, and we were working on that together. And I just remember there was a young man on the job site had Down syndrome, and I just remember, never forget, I've told you this how many times, where I looked over and saw just 2 of you sitting there in the dirt, honestly, and you were playing with him. That's all you wanted. You just wanted to be paid attention to. You just want to have just wanted a little love, just like all of the rest. Just wanted a little love.
He did.
I'll never forget from that moment. Like, I was like, David Lecko's a special dude. So, hope you guys are getting more than just real estate information at DealMachine. You're getting exposed to some great human beings like David and his team. And so I hope we were able to help today, give some insights, some wisdom, and go from there.
Absolutely. Thanks for mentioning that. That was a special trip for me. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.